All right. Got that handled. Today is Mindset Monday. Look at me. It's already Thursday and I'm on Monday still. Let's see where my mindset's at. It is Thursday leadership training. Oh my gosh. But you know why? Let me just be the reason why I'm a little bit confused today is because we're doing Mindset Matters. So there's that. It's kind of like a Monday.
You're confused and I'm wearing glasses. So and that's because I got a massage and my eyes are so swollen that I can't even hardly see. So I'm like, I have to wear glasses. Look at that. Okay, no. The answer to that is no.
I've been working all day, Cheryl.
Listen, I have too. It was quite a situation.
Well, let's talk about your mindset, Cheryl.
All right. I have a yes mindset. That's what I like to say.
Well, the key behind you having a yes mindset, Cheryl,
yes,
is that mindset is a choice.
It is a choice, no matter what.
You have no matter what. I know you love this lesson, and maybe just talk a little bit about the beginning and how John was talking about people who don't have a good mindset and what he thinks of them.
I love that he talked about his daughter and he told his daughter, listen, now something's wrong here. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. So you need to go to your room and don't come out very, very soon. Take your time and change your mindset and change the way. And I thought that was so interesting, right? Because that is so true. And he doesn't ever put himself around anybody that has a bad mindset, which is so great. I think that's so fantastic. Because, we've all been around people who we say bring us down, right? That's the way I look at it, or that's the way I think about it. Bring us down. And it's because their mindset isn't right. And I love it when they say, get your mind right. Because that's exactly, every day I walked into the gym when I was doing fitness competitions, before we did anything, my coach would come over and he'd say, Cheryl, get your mind right.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are so weird that you say that to me every day. And I'd say, I know, my mind's right. And he's like, okay, well, we'll see. Right? Because that was, and we're going to talk more about what that means, but this is what he was talking about, right? Get your mind right.
Yeah.
So totally. I love that. And by the way, I love that it's a choice.
Yeah. I mean, so there's so many things in this lesson today that really hit me hard. That one being something that we all knew, but just to have him come out and say it, mindset is a choice. I mean, it is, once you can understand that and really wrap your mind around it. Because he went on to the next part, and this was so powerful, because we know so many people that say, sure, Cheryl, Paul, you guys can be happy and all that, but if you were in my situation, you'd be miserable. If you were married to the person I'm married to, or having the job I had, you'd be miserable. And John's like, no, I wouldn't. Because mindset's a choice. And I just choose to be happy all the time. I don't care what's going on. That's why I'm obsessed with this word called bliss, because the meaning of it is to be oblivious to everything else that's going on and just be in complete happiness. So I've given myself permission to be, just take everything else that's going on in the world and forget about it and push it aside.
Yeah, I loved how he said, Paul, never attach your attitude to someone else or some situation that you're in. That's what you're saying. You can't attach. Yeah. That has nothing to do with your mindset, which is fascinating.
Your mind. Why would it have anything to do with your mindset?
Right.
But how many millions of people out there let whatever the situation is that's happening right now dictate how they're going to feel?
Yes. And especially in the last year and a half.
Oh, yeah. It just got magnified. Mm-hmm. One of the quotes that Cheryl and I love the most from Dr. Dwayne Dyer is that there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. You can't say I'm going to be happy once I get to car qualified 1-star. Then my attitude will change. No, it has to change now, because no one's going to want to hang out with you if you're not happy. Now Cheryl has, what do you have, kava there, Cheryl? What do you, she got sunglasses on, snacks. Like, I have
Listen,
nothing.
listen, I'm sorry about your problem, but
I-
let's have a nice mindset anyway. Okay. I've got some nuts here.
Did you see my mindset go like that?
So I had to remind him.
Yeah, I got no snacks out here. I don't know what.
Oh, I don't know why you don't have sunglasses either.
Let me tell you, the best mindset ever was Michelle Wallach. She was making up her vision board at the retreat. And in the very center of the vision board said snacks.
That was so awesome.
I mean, why wouldn't you put snacks on your vision board?
Why not? I love snacks. I'm known as a snack mom. I like snacks at all times. Yeah.
All right. Well, Cheryl understands that happiness is the way. So
Yes.
until you buy into the fact that it is a choice, you will never take responsibility. I love this sentence, Cheryl. Responsibility is everything, and you will never take responsibility for your mindset until you understand that it is a choice.
Right. And I find that so fascinating because I think, oh, and I loved when he said, and this made me think of a person or two that I know, that if you don't take responsibility, then you have the victim mentality.
Mm.
And that is just so not good. That is not good. It's either the victim mentality, and I think along with that victim mentality comes, well, the world owes me something. Everybody owes me something. And that is just like the worst. I think that is the most detrimental mindset to have, is a victim mindset, or that somebody owes me something. Because what, you're going to waste your entire life waiting for somebody, who even is it, to give you what you think you're owed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Caroline typed in the word entitlement.
Oh,
Which, hits it right there. So John Maxwell, once you understand that you can choose what mindset you have, he decided, I choose to blank. And he came up with 3 mindsets that he decided to adopt into his life. And the first one I thought was really interesting, which is something we don't teach a lot of, but I understand exactly where he's coming from. So the first mindset that John takes on for himself is to be realistic.
yeah. I have to say, Paul, that just really rubbed me the wrong way. Because I'm exactly.
I knew it would. I knew it would.
Because I'm exactly what John said. I'm a dreamer and everything is fantastic and it's all good. And why do we need to look at that or do that? Because it's all wonderful and it's all going to work out, and let's dream bigger. And so I love that whole little thing that he was talking about. I liked it, even though it was kind of a wake-up call, I guess.
So he said this sentence that literally I was sitting on a chair and I fell off of it when he said it, because he said, when you take a dreamer and put him with someone who's a positive thinker, you never have any real reality going on here.
Yeah, there I was floating out into oblivion.
You take Cheryl, the dreamer, Paul, the positive thinker, and we just don't have a whole lot of reality going on at the moment. But that's okay, because we come to these lessons to learn ourselves, to be more realistic, and to gain clarity on where you are right now. And I love what John says about not making things worse than they are, which we tend to do. Like, oh, my life's horrible. No, it's not. It's not great, but it ain't horrible. So just say what it is, and get to the place where this is where I'm at, and be realistic about what you're doing to get to where you want to go to. You just can't be like, oh, I'm working super hard. Those weekly reviews, and I tweak those weekly review sheets a little bit so they match the daily sheet and they match the quarterly sheet. Now, it's critical to be realistic and keep score every single day, because that is just going to be it's a mirror in front of your face. I know Cheryl loves keeping score, because that really reminds her every day of how much action she's taking and growth she's experiencing.
Absolutely. Mhm. Yes.
Oh, so awesome. All right. So number two, unless you, yeah, there's enough about the realistic thing. Let's move on to number two, which is be coachable. So
Yeah,
talk to us about being coachable, Cheryl. You are coachable.
I am coachable, and I do like that, and I do like to be coachable because I really do believe that if you are coachable, um, then you can change whatever it is you don't like, that's going on in your life right now. I really believe that. Um, I love that in the notes it says my cup is always empty. I don't even know what that is because that's totally untrue for me. I think that sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard.
That was my line, Cheryl.
I know it was. And I'm not sure why, because my cup is always full. No, but I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you're always coachable. You're always, you're always in a place where you're willing to listen to another side or another part or another way that it could be done, which is fantastic. And I think that is how we have to be.
I mean, we have some mutual friends that have their cups always full. Oh, I don't need to go to that conference. I already know that. Oh, I don't need to go to read that book. I already got that. Really? Like you'll never hear me say that. I'm going to go to anything, because I can gain some kind of nugget out of that thing. It's going to make me another $1 million. So it's always about keeping your cup empty and be like, hey, I don't nothing. Like, and that's what John does the same thing. Like when he gets to interviewing someone, like he doesn't treat himself as like, I'm John Maxwell. Don't tell me how to lead. Like he interviews the top CEOs and says, hey, how do you do it? He's always trying to learn and get insight and stuff. And, it's such an important mindset to have, is that I don't know it all. And as a matter of fact, as the more I learn, I don't know anything. So it's just, you get into this massive growth spurt by having that kind of mindset of my cup is always empty. So then going with that is having that strong desire to want to learn, which is big. And what's even bigger than that is to not just learn, but to use what you learn, which, John always, and I go to a lot of John Maxwell seminars. I'm from being a certified leadership coach with him. And he always starts with, how many people here have bought one of my books? And the whole room raises their hand, and he goes, notice I didn't ask how many people read one of my books. Because it's only 10% of people who buy a book read it from cover to cover. And then he goes, I would never, ever, ever, ever ask how many people here have actually read the book and applied one thing from the book to their life. Because now we're at the upper 1% of the whole world here. And you got like three people raising their hand in the audience. So we have to get into this being coachable, in that, not just on the surface, but really say, hey, I want to learn, and what I learn, I'm going to turn around and use it. So the things that we go over in these classes, the best thing to do as soon as the class ends is to go do it. Whatever the topic was or whatever hit you and made an impact on you, to go out and do that, so that, you really haven't made a decision until you've taken some action on it in the real world. So moving on to my favorite part of the show, which is John's third I choose, which is I choose to be persistent and consistent, which is just gold. I mean, and he said, if you can do those two things, there's nothing that can stand in your way. And, he's very realistic about this. They're both uphill. He's not trying to cherry coat this where it's, oh, this is going to be simple. It's uphill. But I love, and I want to get into some things here, some mindset things that Cheryl and I are obsessed with. I have this word relentless, and there's this video that David Goggins made about talking about Nothing likes to stand in front of something that's relentless. You know, it doesn't matter if it's another person or a goal of yours or whatever it is in the world. If you're relentless, there's no way you can't make it to 5-star, because you just have that mindset that I'm going to be relentless. I'm going to go after this thing and keep going after it and keep going after it and keep going after it. And like I said before in a call, that those goals of mine get scared. They don't want to stand in front of me. They're like, I can't believe Paul showed up again today. This guy's relentless. And I think in the past, there's been some times where the word relentless has been used in a kind of a negative way. Like, oh, that guy's just relentless. But I've always treated it as a compliment. I mean, I want to be known as Mr. Relentless. He just goes after it and keeps going after it like a lion. And I loved what Caroline says. I saw her post. She did, I guess, think she did some cardio at home and then went out and had to do her outside session for 75 hard, and it was raining outside. And yeah, I love all of David Goggins videos where he's running out in the rain and, you know, it's 40 degrees out and he's got a t-shirt and shorts on. But she said that the hard is what makes it great. And, you know, this morning during the Daily Dose call, I talked about self-discipline and how that I love the word, but you can have a mindset shift here. You can start. What's happened to me in my life recently, like in the past 3 to 6 months, is that I've rewired my brain completely to a place where I just love hard things. Like now I go out looking for them, where before we all tend to avoid, you know, we talked about this morning. I think it was, don't mean to pick on Rod, but Rod said that adding people to his list in his mind was a 7 hard. He associated a level 7 pain to doing that. Now, Becca had a level 1 pain associated to that. So you can have the same activity, but associate different types of levels of hardness or pain to that. To a place where Becca actually looks at it as something extremely pleasurable. So instead of being like, oh, it's raining and it's 40 out, so I'm not going to go running today, you get super excited because now this is something hard and you can finally do this. And the thought of doing something hard is so exciting to you and so motivating to you that you only want to do hard things. And that's just a huge shift, Cheryl. I know that you've gone through this shift as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
I have.
we love the cold plunge every day because it's hard.
Right. And I feel like it started out hard. Like when I was younger, it was really hard too. Like anyone that's grown up on a farm, you know, it's hard, right? And you know, you're going to do it anyway. Doesn't matter. You get up and you do it hard every single day. And there's certain things you can't do. You can't ever leave. You can't ever go anywhere. You have to be there day in and day out. And that to me is harder than anything that I've really gone through so far. So it's like everything is, I think we put it in perspective too, right? I mean, everything we do. So why is it that was a 1 for Becca and a 7 for Rod? Why is that? It's because of the experiences that they've had. And I think also that it's a choice and you can change, because we talk about this all the time. You can change where you're going to put that hard, right? Or what, if you think it's hard, what is hard? What does hard mean to you? And why would Rod say it's a 7 and Becca say it's a 1? And I do everything is compared to growing up on the farm and going to school. And nothing in my life is as hard as that was. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, and so we can have that switch like, oh, well, it's not as hard as this, or it's not as hard as that, or I'm going to associate, you know, pleasure. I mean, that's what I love. I love to associate pleasure, like you're talking about, with hard things.
Yeah. It's just another way of looking at it. Instead of saying to add people to my list is hard and I want to associate pleasure to that, which is one way of doing it. But another way of doing it is actually to associate pleasure to doing hard things. So right. You're looking for things that you won't even do anything below an 8. If it ain't an 8 hard, I'm not even doing it. because it doesn't do anything for me.
Right. And I think that it'll get easier to do hard things. Like David Goggins doesn't think it's hard to run 100 miles now.
Well, he's
That's
looking
not
for it.
hard.
Yeah.
I know, because he doesn't think that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's something that he's done. And it's something that, like, I don't think the cold plunge is hard. For everybody else, that seems to be hard because you haven't done it and you haven't got used to it. And then I believe the hardness goes down. I really think it does. Just like for me, it used to be really hard to follow up with people. That was like my heart. Remember, that was like my big thing that was so hard. Oh my gosh, I'd put that at a 10 as being hard. And now I don't think it is at all because I changed the way I think about it. That's it. That's what I did. I associated pleasure to it instead of just thinking, oh, it's hard. And I think that's really important because I think that we can each do that for things that seem really, really hard for us.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love taking those hard things that we do and putting them in our cookie jar.
Oh yeah.
The cookie jar concept is changed my life. I mean, I really want to put stuff in the cookie jar. And when you go car qualified 1-star, I mean, there's going to be some tears. I mean, there's going to be of not sadness, but of joy that I made it. Like I knew I could, but it's one thing to know you can, and then to actually have it happen.
Yeah.
It's for real now. You hit 2-star or 4-star, 5-star, whatever it is. You put that in your cookie jar. You just did something super hard for no other reason. Go 5-star just so you can put it in your cookie jar. I mean, that's what I had to put that in my cookie jar. Like, I'm not going to go through life and not have that in my cookie jar. So I love the cookie jar mindset. This is a big one, Cheryl. F.
Yes, it is. And
because you're experiencing
so
such massive success every day that it just makes it's just the worst enemy for tomorrow's success.
Yeah, which is so crazy, right? I mean, and that's true because you know why though? It's because you get comfortable because it's like, oh, I've arrived. And that's one thing that John has never done in his whole life. And I think that's why he is so absolutely fantastic because he never rests on yesterday. He never rests on what he's done. It's always more and bigger and more growth and more growth and more growth. And I just find that so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, he wakes up every morning and says, I'm a nobody. I mean, I'm starting over again. It's just after all he's done, 100 books and now that, and it just cup's completely empty. He's like, nope, that was yesterday. Today's a new day. I got to go become a better leadership coach today. So unbelievable mindset to have that knowing that, the biggest enemy of tomorrow's success is today's success. So don't just have that mindset that doesn't matter how successful I was yesterday or what rank I've made. What matters is today, and all that is just the past. Jill, I know this G is your favorite thing, but I never thought of it both ways.
Me either, and I don't want to. So John says that, and this too shall pass. And that's one of the sayings that my dad always said to me, always. Anytime I would complain or, whatever it was, as I was growing up, he would always say, oh, and this too shall pass. And so that became like, something that we would always say. But then John takes it one step farther and says, it can be for bad things. And if you're going through a bad time, which is the only way I have ever used it, but it can also, you've got to think about this, it could be for going through a good time also. Which, just so you know, Paul, I won't be doing that. Just saying. I won't. Because I like it. I like good times.
Yeah, this too shall pass, Cheryl. Oh, so good.
Get better and get better. So I'll look at it like that.
Yeah, and get better. That's good. He talked about Dr. Schuler's famous quote that tough times never last, but tough people do. And I remember growing up every single Sunday morning before we went to church, watch the Hour of Power with Robert Schuler. And know that made a huge impact on who I am today. I mean, from the youngest age I can remember, every single Sunday, my
It's
dad and I
3:30.
would watch that together. And, you know, when you have that kind of mindset training every single Sunday from that guy at such a young age, it has a huge impact on who I am today. So, I know Cheryl, you're super big with your children. I know Justice right now, he's doing so great in tennis, but starting at that young age and understanding that the strategy is 20% and the psychology is 80% of the game.
Yes. Mindset is where it's at. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is all about that. And it's so interesting to see. He was at his class the other day, and there's two boys in there, and they're the two best players right now in the camp that they're in. And he said, listen, the coach told Justice and his friend, listen, you guys have fragile minds.
Right.
And so they're like looking at him like, what? And he said, here's the deal. Right now, how you're playing, you're both super great, but all I have to do is see whoever gets the very first point, and that's the person that'll win. And they're about the exact same, but it's only because the minute somebody doesn't get the point, then, it starts spiraling down. And so as long as you can get the first point, you're going to win. And
I thought Cheryl was telling me the story wrong, because I'm like, well, you mean the first game or the first set, right?
No.
She's like, no, the first shot.
The very first, which is so crazy because you have so much more time. You have 6 sets. You have 6 games, right? I mean, there's no way that the first point should even make a difference.
No.
But for them right now, it's like making all the difference. And I was like, oh my gosh, we really need to work on mindset there.
Well, when you look at this industry, Cheryl, it's not much different. If people,
No, it isn't.
It takes 2 no's for the average person to quit.
Yeah.
Just 2 people to say, no, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
That's an industry average. That's the weak mindsets that are out there.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. That is so amazing.
Cheryl, the next one is another great one. People who succeed persist through criticism.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a must, isn't it? Let me say, that's a must with the industry we're in. You guys, it's the craziest thing ever. I mean, I get people looking at me weirder than anything. I mean, they just think that they're like, oh, are you in one of those things? They still say that to me. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, this is 2021. Everyone is doing this. And they still have a bad attitude and criticize what we do. It's the most amazing thing to me. But we have to persist through that. And I have to say, it's easier now that I'm older. Let me just say that right up front here. When I was younger, it was very hard for me to do that. Not in this, but like in school and things like that. It was very hard for me to persist through criticism. Like, I did not want it. And now I'm like, oh, bring it on. Criticize all you want. I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me as much at all. But just think about, like, on a scale from 1 to 10, where are you with criticism? Does it really bother you? Like, I was thinking about this the other day. It used to be that when I would be criticized, I'd beat myself up for like 2 weeks with whatever I was criticized about. Oh, well, you're an idiot, you're whatever. So then I would take on the whole criticizing myself. And now it is the exact opposite. I'm like, oh, mercy, that poor person. I honestly think that poor person, they have no idea what they're even talking about, right? But I think it's important. And if it's something that you really struggle with, then you want to become aware of that so that you can, change that part of your mindset, because it'll make a huge difference if you don't buy into this criticism from people who don't even know what they're talking about. And that could be your spouse, or it could be your family member.
Usually is.
Yeah, more than likely it is. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Let me just put another spin on that, Cheryl, where it goes back to the order you put your needs in.
Oh,
So I put my number one need is growth, and I am serious about that. Like that's not just word service. So now don't get me wrong. If you want to send me messages and tell me how awesome I am, keep them flowing. Keep them out. They're always welcome. But what I'm really looking for, to be honest with you, is criticism. Hey, Paul, that was a great call, but I love the butts. Other people can't stand them. You know why they can't stand them? Is because their number one need is significance. And when my number one need is significance and you criticize me, you just took my significance down. And I hate that. If you're someone that has significance as number one. That's why it's so important to get these needs in the right order, so that if your number one need is growth, you want people to criticize you all day long, because that's the only way you can grow. I want to hear, Paul, this was great, but you should have added this, this, and this. Oh my God, thank you so much. Like next time I do that, I'm absolutely going to put that in. That's great. It's great advice, or whatever it is. Cheryl, you should wear sunglasses every time.
maybe I will. I have a lot of different pairs and I know how good it looks. Right? But what else could I think? Oh, well, Paul doesn't think I look good without sunglasses on, right? I mean, it could be either way. It's up to you, even the way you read into it, because you don't have to take it as criticism. And I will tell you, I don't take anything as criticism, nothing.
Well, it's all constructive criticism to get better, help you get better.
Yeah, I just think, but I think it's important as we're building our businesses and as we are becoming leaders, you have to make sure that exactly what Paul said, that your significance, that being significant is not number one.
Yeah.
Because it really plays with your mind.
Yeah, it does. Speaking of playing with your mind, the last point that we're going to talk about today, Cheryl had a very unique experience this morning going to, the reason why she was not on the Daily Dose call was because she was at an orientation with her son, Justice. And she got to go back to junior high, the place she loved as a child, and have another experience there. So Cheryl, tell us about you pulling into the parking lot this morning.
Yeah, well, I was in a car, which has never happened in my life, right? I never had a car growing up, so I didn't ride the bus. So thank goodness I got to ride in a car going there. And let me say this, Justice didn't go with me. He's like, Mom, yesterday he tells me, Mom, I don't want to go to the orientation. Can you go and do it for me? Because I have tennis camp. And I did not want to. But anyway, he sold me on it. So he went to tennis camp and I went to orientation.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, I know. That could have, well, because I don't like to say that, because I don't like to say that my son sold me a bill of goods and he got to go to tennis camp, something I love, while I'm at his orientation.
Yeah, you got the short end of the straw on that one.
But it was so amazing, because right when I walked in, I was like, fine, because there wasn't very many people, because I was like, I don't know, 50 minutes late. Which is setting the stage, because I really did not want to go. I kid you not. The only reason I went is because I had to turn in a paper that says my son doesn't need to wear a mask from the doctor. That's the only reason I went, because everybody has to wear a mask. And I'm like, he's not wearing a mask. It makes him sick. So I went in there to turn this paper in. Well, then I got sucked into the orientation. Then I couldn't get this thing on my phone to work named SIS, whatever that is. It's like this, it's a parent thing that you need. I don't even know. I was so confused. I'm like walking and it's like the whole, I mean, it's okay. Okay. So it's 8th grade. No, I'm sorry. 7th grade through 12th grade, but they try to keep them a little bit separated, but it's like a half a mile is how big this school is. And so I'm walking back and forth because they're telling me where to go. I was totally confused. So after orientation with like 2,000 people, I was like, what the, like, does this even work? So I go back out into the hall and all of a sudden, you guys, there was a rush with all these kids, like so many kids. And all of a sudden I'm all, and I start getting like, I'm super sick. Like all of a sudden I'm like sick and I can't, and I just stop and I'm like frozen and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's like I was taken back to when I was in junior high and high school. And it was, I'm telling you right now, it was by far the worst time of my life. Like by far, like I can't even tell you. And there's a million reasons why, but
You have to buy the book to find out.
but I got like, I was so sick and horrified that I was there that I'm like, I gotta talk my son into not coming here. Like, this is like terrible. This is like, so, but it's not gonna be for him and it'll be fine. But for me, like all of these things came rushing back. And so of course I'm calling Paul to tell him about it. And then that's why we brought it up today, because it's so interesting, because the question that John asks is so amazing, because he says, if you could go back, well, he asks the CEO this question. If you could go back and do it over again, would you do that? Would you put yourself through that again?
Yeah, what would you do different? Yeah.
Yeah, what would you do different? How would you do it differently? Or what if it could be different, right? What would you change? And I was thinking, well, I'd be a cheerleader. I would be a cheerleader, or I would at least make drill team. I would do something that I wanted so badly. You know, I mean, but then really, when I looked at it and thought about it, I would not be the person that I am today. So I would have to say I would change absolutely nothing, even though it kind of makes me sad.
Let's just give the quick version of the drill team story, Cheryl. I everyone needs to hear this just to get an idea of what you're talking about, because I don't think anyone in this room has a grasp of the level of horrific experience
horror
that you went through.
Yeah, for a 10th grader.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I had a really good friend named Tiffany, and she moved from California to Idaho. Okay, little town, 800 people, and she was a dancer, and she was like 5'11", and she just was fantastic at dancing. So she's going to try out for the drill team. And she's like, Cheryl, you have to try out for the drill team. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not a dancer. She's like, oh, no, don't worry about that. I mean, everybody makes it. It's not even a big deal. I mean, they need 100 people, and then they need 2 people that are that are the backups.
Alternates,
so Yeah, alternates. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I could do it. And so it takes her a long time to talk me into it. And so we get there on the day that we're going to try out, and the teacher sees us coming, and she's like, oh, like the drill team teacher or whatever she was, the coach. And she says, oh, Cheryl, what? Why are you trying out with Tiffany? I don't think you should try out with Tiffany. I think you should try out with somebody else. I'm like, no, it's fine. I mean, I can try out with Tiffany. It's no big deal. Tiffany's like, I want Cheryl to try out with me. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, what's the big deal? And she goes, well, Tiffany has a lot of experience and you don't have much. So I'm not, and I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. I mean, what, they need 100 people. I mean, how many people could be trying out? I mean, 102 people. I mean, this is not a problem. This is no problem. So I go in there, make a total idiot out of myself. It's so
go
bad.
ahead and put in the chat, how many people do you think tried out for this drill team?
Okay. So anyway, that's this whole thing is not the bad part. So what they do is everybody tries out, takes all day. Well, the next morning you rush into school to find your name on the wall, because everybody's name is posted who's made the team, and then the 2 alternates. Well, I'm sure you can imagine what happened. My name was nowhere to be found, and I was looking and looking and looking, and I never found it. I looked for like an hour. I had like everybody helping me look. My name was nowhere to be found.
And how many people tried out, Cheryl?
103 people. So that means 100 people made it, 2 alternatives, and not me. And I was not there. So I really had some problems with that. And I went off. I mean, I was mad. And you can imagine every single feeling that I had, but I will tell you this, it certainly did not help with my self-esteem. I can tell you that. Right. And it was totally fine. And I shouldn't have, that's right. I shouldn't have danced with Tiffany because I looked so bad next to her. Right. And that's another thing. You need to be who you are. Don't try to be your friend. Don't try to look like your friend dancing. Don't try to, and that's all of these things. But I had to learn like all of these really hard things the hard way. And I just didn't, I wish I didn't have to. But again, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change one thing, which to me is the most amazing thing on earth now.
Yeah. I mean, when that guy, I got goosebumps when he said, be honest with you, John, I wouldn't change any of it, because if I didn't have those bad things happen to me, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Right.
We always go back to that saying that things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
Yeah, because let me tell you,
I happen for you, Cheryl.
Yeah, I know. I have empathy. And if you guys ever try out for the drill team and don't make it, I am your shoulder to cry on. Okay? Seriously. But anything, right? It's anything. That goes with anything and for anything. And here's the other thing that I learned. I will try for anything. That's what it taught me, because it could never, ever be as bad as that. Ever. And so I will try anything. I automatically say yes. Paul and I always joke that I have the yes mindset, because before I even know what it is, oh, I'll do it. Yep. Yes, absolutely. And then, fear and everything else sets in.
Right. But
I always agree first.
Yeah. But a really good friend of ours, she's a versed woman. And she said the number one problem with women, with all people, but especially with women, she mentioned, is the lack of ability to make a decision. And she was just praising Cheryl for being that yes person, that you just say yes and then you figure it out. Yep. But it's so many people lead with no. And that is just, that's not living in the yes zone. And, for Cheryl to be able to say, I wouldn't have changed any of that. And, all those lessons have helped me. And I do get that nothing happened to me. It happened for me. And just in Cheryl's defense, she's an amazing dancer right now. So she did improve over the years tremendously, and now is world-class on the dance floor.
Well, I love it. That's for sure.
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah. With that being said, we'd love to hear from all of you for a few minutes here, and anything you got out of the whole mindset part 2 here, that something we said or something that John said or something you want to touch on that hit you hard or was a golden nugget for you.
Oh, there's Cindy.
Go ahead, Cindy.
My mic is a bit interesting. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, real quick. Okay, it's always so amazing to be here. Sometimes I don't get a chance to chime in. But with this whole mindset thing, I jumped in last year when all of this craziness started in the world. I've been on the products and a part of the longevity since 2009 or 10, but it was just to take the products. So I jumped in as a business, got so excited about the coaching, jumped in on that, ranked up. And this is such an amazing place. And it's always about community. I hear so many sad stories, especially, with everything going on about people joining companies and horrible people that they're working with, and just the leadership is horrible, this, that, and the other. And it's always such a blessing to be here. Paul, Cheryl, Becca, you guys, through this whole coaching program, have been so amazing. And life is happening. I've had my younger sisters, one fell and broke an arm, the other one fell and hit her head, and the other one. So it's crazy, but thank God they're on the products, they're doing well. And we have so much here, so many amazing people. But when Cheryl talked about the thing with the cheerleading, and she took me all the way back to the 70s. And I actually did get on a team, and it was so much fun, but there was so much fear the whole time. I was the skinniest child in school, tallest, skinniest, called olive oil and all kind of things. And I think about back then with all the people who were superstars, and looking back all these years now, some of the top people, I mean, one ended up on drugs and crazy and walking the streets. Their mind is gone, and these are the people who are the most likely to succeed. And then another one, he was like, oh my goodness, a horrible, horrible man. And he got a PhD, but he's, from what I can understand, still a horrible person, you know. And I've gone on to you know, to
You're going in and out a little bit.
okay, to become an early childhood educator and, you know, get different degrees, but to be a part of this and constantly building mindset and getting stronger and stronger every day. And I'm kind of like Cheryl, I say yes to everything, but I've had to slow down a bit because it can be a bit daunting. So anyway, I
Awesome.
love you guys. Awesome.
I'm glad you're getting value from this and growing. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Caroline, whose hand keeps on getting darker and darker every time she raises it. It's like I'm working on my tan throughout the summer, so I changed the color of my hand. You have to unmute too.
And so am I. I'm saying she's muted and I muted too. Oh, there you go. You're unmuted.
There it is. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so one of the things was on number 3 with persistence and how everything worthwhile is uphill. And I think Cheryl was really touching on that and just saying, whatever it is, I don't care, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. And going back to that, you know, choosing your hard. And I didn't make the quote. It came from a movie, A League of Their Own. It's one of my favorites. But in it, he's talking about, the coach is talking to the gal and he's like, the hard is what makes it great. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. And so it's just, if it's something that speaks to you and it's going to be hard, you're definitely going to get more value out of it. And how much more value than you're going to give to somebody else because you did something hard, and it's going to be so worthwhile. And you may not even see the you know, the big picture when it comes, because you're not going to know what that whole ripple effect was. But I just really like that everything worthwhile is uphill. And I have a similar story to Cheryl's, but I'm not going to share it, but it turns out a little bit differently than Cheryl's, but I love Cheryl's story. So
When she told me there was 103 people in the trial, I was like, wow, it's crazy.
Oh, that's devastating. But also that I loved his thing where he says, I can only please one person a day, and today is not your day. And thank you, Karen. She put in the rest. She says, and tomorrow's not looking good either. Because I love that so much.
Oh, that is fantastic. I need to.
Because who stinking cares what they say? You know, it's your life. You have to build it the way you want it. And what did it say? Only 5%, honestly, 5% won't like what you say or do. And that's all. And we create this big thing in our heads thinking that everybody's going to be against us, where really it's not. And it holds us back. So those are some little things I got.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks so much.
Awesome. So Reggie is next. Thank you, Caroline.
75 hard.
Hi,
Thank
Reggie.
you. Well, I would normally, you can see I'm not in a good place for this, right? But in any case, I'm on the call. But this whole call was for me. It was for me. I mean, I could pick any of those and they would apply, and they all apply. And I love Cheryl's attitude. Yes, I'm going to go for yes. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. Whatever the situation is, whatever the challenges are, all those types of things. Absolutely. So I'm not going to belabor the point that, you know, everything that was said today was just for me. You guys wouldn't realize, wouldn't have any idea what some of the challenges are that I'm working through. But the mindset is all about saying yes. We're going to figure it out, and I love it. I love it, Cheryl. You are awesome. You are a tremendous inspiration, as I'm sure you already know, and you certainly are, Paul. I love you guys. You guys take
Love
care.
you.
God bless.
We'll keep you in our prayers, my man.
Thank
Whatever you're
you.
going through, tough times don't last. Tough people do.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. I have a little bit different spin though, after hearing because I've heard all of Cheryl's stories about her saying yes to running a marathon without training for it and being in a school play without having any ability to sing, or it's now actually lessened my desire to say yes for everything. Of all these stories that Cheryl just continues to say yes for. But, she wouldn't be the person who she is today if she didn't do that her whole life. And I even asked her mom, I said, has Cheryl always been like this? Like, has she always been like this? Yes, I'll do it. Yeah. She's like, oh yeah, just birth. She was like Mrs. Yes woman. So this is really who she is. And she just keeps on doing that. And because of it, the only way to get to success is through failure. And Cheryl just, she knows it. I went through a lot of failure to get to where I am right now. More failure than anybody else.
Yep, I failed my way to success.
Yep. That's how you do it.
That's right.
Awesome.
Okay, Debbie.
Okay, hi everybody. I really, number one, choose to be realistic, because yes, we can all be very positive and do things and stuff like that, but you let reality not get you down. Like my mom used to have this bag that said, "Don't let the turkeys get you down." It was a Boyton cartoon. And doing hard things like, I ran a half marathon in the wind and the rain, and it was 40 degrees. And now whenever I run in the rain, I just laugh. So yeah. It's like, it doesn't really matter, because you are going to determine your own destiny. And it's just a matter of just setting your mind to it and do it.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love that. Good job, Debbie.
Thanks.
Okay, Deborah. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. A few things. I was kind of put into a position that I'm in as a ranking up to 1 star. I was powering through things. I was really trying really hard, and then circumstances kind of just put me in the spot. And wow, I can't imagine. I have just a totally different person. It's hard to explain it. And I don't think I really have to explain it. But I can go in the car and I'm booping around, and I'm not a worry.
So your mindset's improved a lot from the course.
Well, I thought I always had a really good mindset. I mean, but I'm telling you, just the confidence alone you get from being from one, just kind of be putting into a spot is mind blowing. I mean, I don't even know who I am, but
yeah,
I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, we don't either most of the time.
No, Deborah, were you on our call like a long time ago on the Keto 90 Kickstart call? Okay, you are a totally different person.
Do you know that I'm going to use that as a total example of our community, and that's where I got it when we first did that. Mm-hmm. I can now use that for everything and say, hey, this is it. We have to be there for each other. And, I have a team of people now that, my brother had a beautiful team. He was very good at what he did, but it's so different from what I do. So it's so cool that I have the platform now, but I have to readjust it and I have to make it my own. And I mean, I am having the time of my life.
Awesome. We can see that. So awesome.
I'm just getting new people every day of my own, but I have these these old ones that have really established me for who I am right now. and made me who what this team is. But at the same time, it's still I have got growth coming. I am going for it.
Awesome.
And I just want to thank you guys for being part of my life. I just love it. I'm
You're
having a
welcome.
ball.
Thank you. Awesome.
Good
Awesome.
job, Deborah.
Woo!
That is fantastic.
All right, let's go to Natalie.
Natalie's up.
It's 4:00.
I will be brief. The question keeps spinning through my head, and not so much I'm changing questions, but or changing the answer, but would I go back? And I wouldn't, because as I said in the comment, I'm going to move forward from it. I'm like Cheryl. I loved what I did. I had some pretty freaky moments, but I always jumped in with, I can do this, right? And I thought things were pretty good. Had some life-changing events the last couple years that kind of ripped that to shreds. Even had somebody share with me the last couple days, oh, well, we kind of knew that. And I'm like, thanks, nobody told me. But beside that, I am able to, based on being part of this group, I know that nothing happens for an accident. I do believe that timing and the way the Lord brought this all together truly is the timing for all of us in our own journeys, even if we're, one star's not there yet or whatever the case may be. But it's that courage and it's the endurance and the persistence to be able to pursue through. And with that courage, I almost didn't go to a high school reunion, because what happened changed everything I had about my past and I wanted nothing to do with it. But I thought, I have to go and make a new memory. I have to go and make a new reality of it, because I am what my past was. I don't have to be in my past and defined by it, but I'm going to learn from it. And I'm going to take the negative that's kind of spinning out here and put it away by being able to go with the courage. I used to jump into things and make the event happen for what it's going to be, and let everything that happened in the past, let this change it so I can go away with a new mindset, because I'm not going to let that stuff hold me back anymore. But I want to give you, Cheryl and Paul, and all of you who have been here for each other, kudos and many thanks, because it is a gift and a godsend to, where I am in my time. So thank you, and I'll let you know how the weekend goes, but I'm looking forward to it rather than like, so
Awesome.
thanks.
Awesome. See, it's a big mindset shift. Thank you for that, Natalie. It means a lot to us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. One more caller. We have to get words from wisdom from Becca, because this isn't a call without Becca's words of wisdom. So Becca, I know you're big on mindset. You love the Deb Erickson course, been doing it all along. And now with the John Maxwell course, I know we're talking about how this might be the best course we've ever taken. I mean, it's so great. And so we just love you get your take on Mindset Matters Part 2.
So, one thing that he had said, the dream is free, but the journey isn't.
Yeah.
And the last thing is, people who succeed persist through difficult times, through failure, and through criticism. 5 years ago, absolutely no way would I have kept going. And I think just because of where I was physically, that affected me mentally. And then when you start getting that nourishment in there where your body is feeling good, the brain can feel better. And doing this mindset work has been incredible in just reestablishing, because as a kid, I was a leader. And through life circumstances, I got broken down. And now I'm able to reclaim that. And I just love it. I love this community. I love this course. I love, this John Maxwell Power of 5 section. And how it all just, really reminds us of what we can do. It's not going to be easy, but through persistence and having that dream and working for it, it's all possible.
It is. And you're living proof of that. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for all you contribute to the community here. All right. With that, everybody, have an amazing weekend. Have a great time. And we will be back here for Mindset Monday on Monday of all things. So we'll continue to talk about mindset because we are just obsessed with this topic. So Cheryl, thank you for all your words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing, being open with us and sharing your horrific stories with us. You made us all feel better today.
Oh, very good. Well, I sure love you guys.
Have a great day, everybody. So unmute the lines
All
and
right.
everyone say goodbye.
Yep. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
There's
Bye, everybody. Love
Hey,
you.
everyone. Bless
Have a great
you.
day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Love you.
Have a great weekend.
You guys.
Okay.